Welcome to Music and Medicine. Welcome to Music and Medicine. Welcome to Music and Medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Moshe Lewis. Welcome to Music and Medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Moshe Lewis. I'm really excited to catch up with Aria Gillespie. She is a good friend and was referred to me by Dr. Richard Allen Williams, who all of you guys know is a phenomenal trumpet player. And she's a theatrical actress who is taking the world by storm. She had big plays that she's done in the past, and now she's bringing them forward now that COVID's over to Los Angeles. And she's going to talk to us about her latest production. Welcome, Aria.
Hello. Thank you so much for speaking with me. It's a joy to connect with people as passionate about art and medicine like you.
Yeah, and I love your name, of course, Aria. I mean, what better word to go with music and medicine? How did
there's a story behind that.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's a great place to start. Tell us, how did you come up with that?
Yeah, I was doing a meditation many years ago, and I asked the divine, as I do. I have a very close relationship with the divine, and I asked the divine what my name was, because my British name was Heather, and it didn't feel like it was really my name.
Interesting.
So I did a meditation and I asked, what is my name? And I got back Aria, and I burst out laughing, because everybody knows that I'm pretty animated, and when I get very excited, I no longer use words. I'm actually a frequency coach, so I tend to tune into frequencies, and it recalibrates me, and then I emanate the zone I'm in.
Sure.
And so when I'm really excited, I literally do an aria. It was very apropos.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to pick up on something you said there relatively quickly, but it was really so important, and we hear it so much on our show because it does talk a lot about music and sort of the science and the connection behind it. When you talk about being able to appreciate frequencies, what is it that you've learned or that you try to pass on to some of the people that you coach?
Okay, so when I was at drama school, we were taught Stanislavski, the everything that you learn, and I thought, interesting, but that's not quite what I do.
Right.
And it's very interesting when you learn what you do, because what you do is innate.
Right.
And until you actually take the time to explore it with all of your faculties and all of your metrics that you use to measure where you are and how you're doing, then you realize, wait, this is just my divine design. I need to learn to navigate this world, this plane of existence, my divine design. And I love intelligence. And frequency is actually our DNA. We are always tuning in, always emanating, always vibrating, usually overriding the information that we're receiving, because we've been indoctrinated out of understanding what it really is telling us, what the flags are, what the path is that we should be following. And I just made it an absolute point to get to understand this natural innate intelligence of which we are a part. And I tell you, it has netted me results so much more expeditiously than any other process.
Sure. Wow. No, that's so amazing. I'm glad you were comfortable being willing to share that, because I think that's
absolutely. Well, I'm a joy vibe coach.
Right.
And I asked the divine what to put on my business cards many years ago, because I was like, how do I help people understand what I do? And Spirit said, you're a joy vibe coach. You literally understand that joy is north. That's the state of being that is the cursor to you embodying the vision you want to manifest. And the fact is, you cannot attract any experience, person, opportunity if you're not commensurate to that frequency. You cannot access it. So there's nothing external that is preventing you. People say it takes patience. It doesn't take patience. It takes alignment. And so I've just learned how to do that. So with a role at drama school, I realized I had to tune in to the frequency that will elicit from me the character. And there was such a confluence of information that was beyond my current life experience
Right.
that I was able to access, which was quite, the role I won the Obie for, this was amazing.
Right.
I was a British girl living in New York.
Right.
And I got the role of an illiterate laborer who is from Charleston, Sierra Leone lineage.
Right.
So the Gullah people. I'm not good with accents. I really am not, but I'm good with frequency. And I had a tune. So when I tuned into the Gullah people, it elicited from, I remember the time I was in the theater.
Right.
And as I was tuning in, my body started shifting and my hand went down to rub my knee. And I intuitively knew that my knee was damaged in the personality that I was playing. I felt the pain and it totally shifted the way that I navigated that character. Now that is resonant and that really permeates everything that you do from there on. So it's just a more joyful, delicious, original, creative ride.
Absolutely. What circumstances do you feel sort of like helped you gravitate towards the theater? Because as I hear you speak and you're so erudite about it, it obviously seems like such a natural fit. But for some people, they may have had some things that really inspired them to go into theater that they may have been aware of. And other times, like you said, it may have been a divine intervention.
Well, what was interesting about my path is that I remember past lives. And I've been pretty in tune, psychic, for many lives. But what I didn't have was the ability to communicate and inspire. And this lifetime, I feel like I incarnated to actually learn how to communicate. And it was my father, who I didn't grow up with, who was an activator in many areas of my life, that actually identified, oh, you're an actress. When I finished school, I didn't know what I was, but it reminded me of this time in church when I read a poem, it was a prayer. So the way that I write is very poetic, but in the natural sense. It's got your rhythm, it's got your passion. You can feel the blood of what you're saying. And I'll never forget, as a young teenager, I stood there in the church in London, and I'm doing this prayer, and everyone's kneeling. And as I'm fervently expressing this glorious outpouring of this sacred prayer, one by one, the members of the congregation just looked up and they stopped praying. And I remember being filled with shame. I was filled with shame that I was not promoting their connection with the divine. And it took me many years to realize, oh, I have a gift. I have a gift for activating, inspiring, but this is the divine flowing through me. It's not a separation. And I've been on a journey to allow that to set me free from the parameters that are set by limited beliefs, to heal me from the trauma that I too have lived. And I feel that what I had to learn is that I'm not an actress in the traditional sense. The divine said, I am an artist of the divine, because whether I'm on a stage or in a nonprofit world, as I was for 15 years, or whether I'm greeting my clients and I'm facilitating an awakening, a healing in them, I'm really about helping people become life artists. Because you see, the average person doesn't perceive themselves as artists.
That's true.
But when you expand your perception of what you're actually doing in your life, oh, you're creating your relationships. You're creating your money flow. You're creating opportunities. It's you. You're the center of your universe, and you are always creating. And I think that people get really excited when they experience the ink in their pen, how they write the script of their lives. And now I have the language, I have the words, and I have the love to help people connect to the genius within them, because that's what I mean, the genius creator that you can access. Because, you know, for me, genius is only your ability to access your divinity, which knows how to use your gifts.
Interesting.
So I think we go about things so hard. And I've done it both ways. And the results that I see that I net when I listen to my divine DNA, as I call it, where we're all godding about.
Right.
And it becomes really quite scintillating to understand that you are more than you realize. And so through my my shows, I hope to connect people to their daily life stories. So then when they see me on stage, they see through me into themselves and understand, oh, the spotlight is on this issue.
Right.
The spotlight is on my ability to heal, and the spotlight is on my ability to transcend when I learn to understand that I too am a life artist. So that's really my passion.
Sure, yeah, and it comes across. You're so exuberant. Talk to us about sort of where the genesis of the show began and sort of how you basically help pull all the elements together.
Well, this is quite poignant for me because I elected to have many experiences that would furnish me with the real life information. I love that word, information. If you break it out, it's like information. You're growing, unfolding, evolving, elevating. And I've had to live my own trauma like everybody else. Just because I'm highly intuitive doesn't make me exempt from making decisions that do not ultimately serve me. But I call myself a farmer because I love harvesting my experiences. You see, when you harvest your experiences, you're able to separate the bullshit from the diamonds, right?
Right, exactly.
And it's really important
to
understand the emancipation that arises out of doing this. And I went through a very, very traumatic time where the nun in me, when I was 10, I wanted to be a nun.
Okay. Right. Wow.
Well, I couldn't imagine what other job title would make me close to the divine, but I've got Jamaican parents, so that black habit was not going to work.
Right.
But I went through a time where that nun in me, that love of the divine, clashed with every shameful misstep I've ever made. And, you know, you don't process things, you compartmentalize them. And I went through a period of deep mental illness, and the walls that divided those compartments dissolved. And a cataclysmic event arose, and I wanted to leave. And I tried to leave twice. So I know what it's like. And anyone who knows me would never think, oh my gosh.
Sure, not her.
You, the guru of your community.
Right.
But I went through what I call the University of Pain to understand the landscape that I was wanting to be of service with other people with.
Right.
And so Spirit said to me many, many years ago, I channeled, which was profound: judgment kills, discernment builds. And I realized as long as I judged my path, I was going to set parameters, and then the shame that ensued will shackle me to the darkness.
Right. Wow.
But if I use discernment and release the shame and rose above the blame, I can begin to discern the diamonds, and those diamonds will illumine a path. And that's what happened with this show. I was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition, rheumatoid arthritis with hexane poisoning. And there was a point where I couldn't walk. So after 20 years of not being on stage, at the point where I was having this health condition, Spirit said, congratulations, you've graduated. Time to go back on stage. At the point where you will fall, I was told rise.
Right. Interesting.
Which is the alchemy of spirit.
Yes.
And so this one-woman show called Aria I, the daughter of Osun, which is profound in and of itself, because I've been guided by the element of water my entire life. I lived on the Thames, near the Thames, Wandsworth Bridge Road, near Wandsworth Bridge Road in London, the first 12 years. And then I was guided to live on the Hudson. My bedroom faced the Hudson River. And then 5 years later, an African Babalo divined my Orisha, my guardian energy, and told me that Osun was my guardian. So I was having these spiritual, profound, very specific guidance, receiving this. And when I say guidance that other people laughed at. The specific directives that I was receiving was telling me to do things that other people thought was impossible. And when I embodied the frequency of this directive, then the law of attraction, which is the manager of energy in the universe, it organized my path to it. So I want people to understand through my show that your wounds do not define you. They help clarify you. But then it's what you do with your life, how that wisdom that you accrue from your experience can help show you the way. And I'm so blessed because when I look back, I've written the most incredible music. I didn't even know it was incredible because I was just connecting with my soul and expressing the yearning. And I wrote poems to my father because under his energy, I lost my voice. So all I could do was write it down to reach him. Well, now, many years later, I realized I have been building this one-woman show my entire life. And this is what people don't realize. All these episodes, all these dramas, all these chapters and seasons that they've been living have been preparing them. And we are often devastated because we feel lost and we've been wasting our time and it's too late. And that's just not so. We are eternal beings on an adventure, and we get to choose when we receive our downloads. And this show is a journey of the downloads. And there's not one lie in it. It is a portrayal of things that I've lived. And my Jamaican mother, Doreen, God bless her, I had to have a very poignant discussion with her recently because she's coming from London to see the show. And I do not want her to have a heart attack.
No.
I love my mother. And she has given birth to a highly psychic daughter who is committed to be an ambassador for people's creative light and love and divinity. And I realized that helping people tell their story, like I'm telling mine in my show Aria I and the Daughter of Osun, is what we're here to do. We're here to tell the story we want to live. And what happens is we keep telling the story on the news. We keep inheriting story from our parents. We're running parallel stories with our peers that are really not aligned to who we really are. And then we lose sight of our own unique voice. And it's been a blessing to help people find that voice and tell a new story. And that's what I'm hoping to do through my show and my music. This is one thing I need to share that was pivotal for me. When Dr. Maya Angelou transitioned, I think it was 2014, I sat in this very chair and I gave deep thanks for her amazing legacy.
Yeah, she's incredible.
And I, being Aria, invited her to work with me. I would be honored if she would work with me from the spirit side. And lo and behold, a few months later, I received a song from her that I channeled that changed my life. It would take me 8 years.
Wow.
8 years of exfoliation to sing that song. And I never classed myself as a singer.
Right.
I channel vibrations, and the vibration emits in a certain way.
Right.
And she gave me a portrait, a reflection of the woman I was becoming. And you've met beautiful. I've watched your work, which is amazing. I love watching these women.
Yes. Right.
Who have traversed the plains and faced everything, and they still look eternally young.
Right.
And you wonder how they did it.
Sure.
You wonder, what were they accessing that gave them the power and the strength to maintain the vision and be an ambassador for us all.
Right.
And Dr. Maya Angelou gave me this incredible, I could not have written the song.
Right. You're not.
When you hear it, it's called The Whole Truth and Nothing But. And I have to tell you the premise, because within the story of the song, my man who I love has just accused me of lying.
Oh my gosh.
He's accused me of lying. He senses something is not quite right.
Right.
Now, I'm not lying, but I'm not telling the whole truth. I'm holding back.
Right.
Powerful women do this.
Yes.
We love the man. We don't want to, and we're very alpha, and we're very aware that we can push instead of invite.
Yes.
And this song was full disclosure of who I am. Maya Angelou gave me the words, but it would take me real life situations that would dismantle parts of me that were not matched to that. And that was a process. And I'm still acclimating, but the journey that I've been on, that piece of music that she gave me, and I truly believe that people will feel her eternal wisdom flow through me and be touched by it.
Wow.
And this is not a show off. This is a celebration of the connection that we all have access to. I think I had a Princeton boyfriend once. Okay. And before we dated, he said to me, "You're full of yourself, aren't you?" I was at work and I was pontificating on something, and he called out and he said, "You're full of yourself, aren't you?" And it stopped me, and I've never forgotten this. It stopped me in my tracks, because it was actually the antithesis of what I was actually doing. It's not what I was doing. And as I tuned into to actually think how to respond, I tuned in. Remember, I just said I tuned in? Yeah, I tuned in, and spirit flowed through me and answered for me. Spirit said, "A flower knows its own scent."
Wow, that's deep. Yeah, that's deep.
The eloquence of spirit. I said to him, now this was me, the second part, would you rather I be devoid of self, empty, deficient? On the contrary, I'm full of my whole divine self. Yeah. And that's what I love to help people understand. When they say, my mother is a Christian and I was raised in the Christian faith. And I have expanded to welcome all paths that explores the divine, because the divine has no parameters.
No, absolutely. Correct.
It's cosmic and infinite.
Correct.
It's the source of all.
Right.
And I say to those who say be humble, I'm like, you have no idea what nature is really saying. Right. Look at nature. Look at the flower outside. You've got something that is seemingly fragile living outside.
Right. Exactly.
A rose.
Sure.
Living outside.
Right.
And what is she doing? She's this.
Right. Right. Expressing herself.
She's blooming.
Yes.
Spirit told me I was going to receive a song called Bloom. And I got really excited. I thought it was a song to help little girls because I needed a lot of help. I was very empathic, very passionate and psychic, and I didn't know what that was. Right. But I realized many people around me were not quite at that level.
You're right. So, right, they feel intimidated.
You know?
And
so I was excited when Spirit told me I was going to receive a song called Bloom. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. But 3 months later, this song downloaded while I was in the bath, always around water, Osun. And by the time I hit the second verse, I thought, this is not for young little girls. Right. This is for tired women on the edge. Right. Strong women who have lost their will to take another step. And here this song comes pouring through. And this is an example I mean by when I say I'm an artist of the divine. I don't sit there and concoct these songs.
Right. Just let it flow.
I allow my channel to open, and it literally flows through me like a river. And what does a river do? It's moving its way to the ocean.
Right.
You cannot stop a river.
Right.
And so this song, Bloom, I one day hope I will get the opportunity to sing it to women at charities and events, because in my dark days that I alluded to in my mental illness, I realized Spirit not only gave that song for me to help other people, I needed that song. I needed to remind myself spring is coming again.
Right. Wow.
And it's an internal season.
Right.
You know, it's not a spring that necessarily just comes once a year. You tune into the eternal spring of your divine nature. And I love it. I love it when Spirit speaks through me and gives me the words, because then it becomes a joy ride. And that is why I'm a joy vibe coach.
And do you find it quite amazing or just sort of predestined that you would wind up in Los Angeles around an atmosphere, at least for the US? There are other... My dear, are so creative, so giving, so...
Spirit told me to leave New York after 5 years of living on the river.
Right.
I was told to get out. And I've already left my country and started a community. And I'm quite... I encourage people when they talk to the divine, don't look up.
Right.
Talk as if you're talking to a friend.
Right, sure.
That knows more than you.
Yes.
But make it local. Bring it local.
I like
right?
that.
And so I remember I was on a bus.
Yes.
Going to my temp job, and I'm like, God, if you want me to leave, you need to give me a clear sign.
Right.
Because I've already left my country and starting all over again. And Los Angeles, come on. Yeah. And I'll never forget it. The bus, just as I said that, the bus I was on stopped at a red light.
Right.
And this other bus was moving through the intersection. And on the side of the bus, they have a banner of advertisements on the side of the bus.
Oh, yes.
It said, moving to LA.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
I'd already been told. God had already said, you're going to move to LA. And now I was getting confirmation, the clarity that I was asking for.
Right.
I cannot convey the sense of urgency that was upon me. I couldn't breathe. It was saying, leave now, leave now. And I'd already signed a contract with Sirencio, Aria I's manager.
Right.
Because I'd won an OB in New York, and that opened doors.
Right.
But I had no plans in moving.
Sure.
But the pressure to move now, and I'm so glad I listened. This is why I tell people, when you start tuning into your divine DNA, oh, you have a GPS like no other.
Wow.
Because I left right before 9/11.
Right. Wow.
That was the urgency. That was why I had to leave.
Amazing. Look at that.
So I'm not talking about going on a mountaintop and bombing your way into oblivion.
True.
I'm talking about connecting with an infinite intelligence that will help you create the life you have identified that you want to live. But you cannot attract anything that you're not commensurate and in harmony with. And my story is very much like that.
Clearly. Well, you've given us so much insight, and I love your passion, your exuberance. Can't wait to partake of your play and things like that. Tell us where we can find you and where we can find it.
Well, I'm here in Los Angeles. I'm a part of the Hollywood Fringe Festival, which is extremely exciting. It's such a wonderful community of souls, creative souls. Yes. I'm going to be at the Studio Stage, which is on Western here. And you can find me on the Hollywood Fringe website. My show is Aria I Am the Daughter of Osun. So you will see the psychic and very human challenges I too have had to face. And I'm going to be doing shows here, but I also have streaming shows. So anyone who cannot come, I've got 2 streaming shows. So I've got an international family, and they would be very upset if they didn't have access to me performing. It is an absolute honor to have come through this, because as I said, I say this to people who have no idea what to do next. I was that person.
Right.
I tried to leave this planet twice.
Right. Yeah.
And I was guided so inexorably that I just want people to know that when you think you're alone, you are absolutely not.
Right.
If you saw the love and the light that you are actually immersed in, and you take a breath of that, like I received the song Bloom, there's lines in there, breathe deep and let her guide you, you will find your way to another plane of existence. It's not just about getting back to where you are. No. It's about evolving. As I say in my show, I want to fly.
Right. Yeah.
I want to fly. And that's what our divine design helps us do. We know we're more.
Right.
And that's what hurts when we're living the lack of that more. We know we're more. And I want to inspire people through my shows. So yeah, at the Hollywood Fringe Festival, you can find me on there. And my Instagram is Aria, Artist of the Divine. My young clients have helped me spell Instagram.
Right.
I love it how we help each other. And watching your work, I have to say this to you. Thank you.
No, absolutely.
Because you are an artist of the divine too. Your passion and what I love, because Sir Richard, as I call him.
Yes, Sir Richard.
Dr. Richard Allen Williams. I met him when I went to do a sacred ritual on a river to see if I should do this show. Can I do this show? Am I strong enough?
Right.
Am I wise enough? Do I have the funds enough to do it? And that's why I met that wonderful ambassador of light and wisdom.
Yes, it is.
When you allow your path to help you connect with like-minded souls like you, like Sir Richard, you realize that you're here to connect. And as I watch you do your interviews, the respect, but your ability to ask those questions that literally open people up and sharing nuggets. You're sharing medicine.
Right, sure. That's why we came up with the title. But yeah, no, it's true. It's
But I'm pointing this out for a very specific reason.
Mm-hmm.
You're a doctor,
right,
on many levels. I'm an artist on many levels. And people don't realize we compartmentalize our gifts and we think one doesn't show up in another. And I just want people to know how magnificent they are when they crown their consciousness with their true identity. And I can't say enough about that. When I see your work, it's imbued with that same level, same resonant wisdom, so that when I listen to you and then I see how you have keys, you have the questions that you ask and the way that you ask them are like keys that unlock the person to reveal a whole other part of themselves. And I was inspired, and that's how I work. So you do what I do. We're keys.
Right. No, absolutely. No, you couldn't have said it better. And it's not an accident. And like you said, just trying to channel that.
Oh, no.
I love that spirit and being able to try to help people unlock their own.
Yes. And there's nothing like seeing someone fly when all they thought was available to them was a pit.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
A pit.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh. Thanks. Those are delightful. We're going to have to continue this. Can't wait to see you. Thanks so much for helping pull us together and making it happen. And definitely big thanks to Dr. Richard Allen Williams, who's a friend, a mentor, a musician, a doctor, but more importantly, our friend. So thanks so much for your time. Thanks so much for your energy. And thank you so much.
Just bloom, everybody.
Absolutely.
Be full of your divine self.
Exactly. Thanks so much. All the best. Good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Music and Medicine. Welcome to Music and Medicine. Welcome to Music and Medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Moshe Lewis.